Mercy, luxurious, Heat Nation, yeah, Mercy and Lago, down to Biscayne, yay, 5 on the floor, ride for my dogs, where here's the thing, you can check the score, hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frauds, down to Biscayne. Kept the floor playing, got it all banned. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat we trust, Inspire have the guts. We're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Yo, welcome to another live edition of 5 on the Floor. I'm your host, Greg Sylvander. Tonight's floor plan with me, Digital Adel, We come to you directly after a game that we were hoping was going to be competitive, and for long stretches it was, but inevitably, 103-91, the Heat lose. This is a reoccurring theme. We feel like we've been doing the same show over and over, so we come to you live to talk about how Miami got here. They are a season high, I think 7, maybe 8 games below 500. We'll check the standings as we go here. And so it's just getting worse and worse. It's a situation where they can't. Tonight was a night where they made adjustments, and we're going to talk about those early with the starting lineup. They played with more competitive fire at times because they hung around. It was tied at half. They were right in the game going into the fourth quarter, but ultimately Boston created separation, and it reminds us that the Heat are just not as good as the upper echelon of the Eastern Conference. Before we dive into any of that, y'all know I didn't forget Off the Floor. That's our Discord server. Sign up. It is the link is in the description of this episode, $2.99. If you click the link, you'll bypass the Apple upcharge. This is where you can talk Miami Heat basketball 24/7. We have a bunch of different channels where you can talk draft, you can talk transactions, you can talk just Miami Heat basketball in general. We provide a bunch of different updates on stuff. Check it out, Off the Floor, for the most heat anywhere. You knew I was going to plug that on a Friday night. Adele, 103-91. The Heat lost, but let's back up a bit. They started with a new group tonight. They mixed it up. They went with Hero and Duncan Robinson in the backcourt. So Davion Mitchell didn't start, although played well for stretches. They went with Wiggins, and Jaime Jaquez got an opportunity, which I think was a surprise to a lot of people, along with Bam Adebayo, of course. What were your early thoughts just from like that group and the fact that they stayed competitive? I thought that it was worth Spo taking a shot on something different. What do you have to lose when you're on this kind of losing streak? But what did you see?
So I think it's something similar that we've expressed all season is Spo just keeps changing lineups to try to find something that works on a night-to-night basis, on a matchup-to-matchup basis. He's trying to find something that works per matchup because the sum of the parts aren't that great. I did like Jaime getting another shot. You got to figure out what you have with the young guys at this point in the season. He didn't play terribly. 50% from the field, 66.7% from 3. He gave you 5 rebounds, 3 assists. I thought initially the Heat came out really flat that first group. I thought they got their butts kicked up and down the court. It wasn't until they got their second opportunity and they brought Davion in the game that things started to turn around a bit, and they really kind of got back in the game on the backs of their defense. You can see by the comments that are flying up there on the screen that the fan base is in a fervor with this losing streak. So I just think that Spo is perpetually searching for answers.
We're going to use the next segment, and that is our insurancebylynette.com, a aggressive player of the night. We're going to use it to actually discuss something that the comments is flooded with. And shout out to our podcast audience. If you're listening to this, we are live on YouTube. So we're letting the viewers throw some comments at us that may guide our discussion, but shout out to our podcast listeners. Let's get to the Insurance by Lynette player of the night.
And now it's time for the A Aggressive Insurance Player of the Night, sponsored by our friend Lynette. You can find her at insurancebylynette.com. That's with 2 N's and 2 T's, insurancebylynette.com. If you need car insurance, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, or any other type of insurance, she's the person to go to. Based in Lauderhill, she services the entire Tri-County area here in South Florida, and she will make sure to get you the best deal. She'll probably talk to you about the heat while you're at it. Reach out to her, insurancebylynette.com. And now, the player of the game.
So Heat fans, I know that you often call me a Bam apologist and all, and I am a fan of Bam Adebayo for sure. I think that he's one of the most impactful two-way players in the game. That being said, the comments are filled with ridicule towards Bam. Now, he's had 2 bad games in a row now. He was 2 of 7 in 35 minutes against the Clippers. He's 3 of 7 tonight in almost 33 minutes, 9 points, 9 rebounds. You're starting to see another stretch where he's not as aggressive, it seems. They're not getting as involved as maybe he should. That's a tough thing to talk about because they need him to be at his best. Now that this team is cleared of whatever the situation was with Jimmy Butler, they rely on Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero to hold up their end of the bargain. He has had 2 bad games in a row. This was one where they really could have used, you talk about creating separation in this game. There were moments where if Bam was playing like his normal self and you got that kind of production, maybe you stay in this game and it's closer late. Adele, what did Boston do specifically, or was it just an off night from Bam? Like, how do you, can you get prescriptive with what happened tonight? Or is it just one of these stretches where Bam is getting phased out of the offense due to, I'm seeing Wiggins' shot attempts really high. Obviously, Tyler's going to get his shots up, but it's a weird stretch from Bam after we saw some really aggressive play. What do you make of it?
So the thing that I make of it, you can trace it back to every game outside of the beginning of the season when he was a little, he had that exhaustion thing kind of going on. I don't want to speak for him, but that's what we all assumed, was that he was, a little bit wore down from his role of covering up for everybody defensively for all these years. But one thing that I've noticed, a common thread that I've noticed, if you look at his shot chart tonight, all of his shots, he has 3 right around the rim, all finished, a couple right outside the restricted circle, but you got none of the actions that got him those middle pin downs at the elbow or at the foul line. He got none of those opportunities.
Yeah.
And most of the games where he struggles, you'll look at his shot chart and he doesn't get any touches in that mid-post area. And that's what happened tonight. It was a lot of Wiggins, you got a lot of Tyler, you got a lot of Jaime. And when Ware is on the floor, now this is something we haven't talked about a lot either, but teams, when Bam and Ware are on the floor, they build a wall. And so when you're coming off those pick and rolls, that wall moves backwards towards the rim, and the Ware can't get any lobs. So if Ware isn't getting lobs, he's not doing much for you. And that pick and roll action with Ware clogs the lane, and Bam doesn't get those mid-post touches. And that's another reason, another drawback to playing Bam and Ware together. And also it looks like Ware hit the rookie wall. Like he looks like he's struggling out there.
I'm glad you mentioned Ware because we talk about the shifts in the starting lineup. And, the first one was just Davion Mitchell, I feel like has been productive enough to remain in the starting lineup, but I understand maybe just trying to get Duncan involved as somebody who has gravity. Conceptually, obviously he has to shoot well in a game. Tonight he was 2 of 6. So, it's hot or cold there, but the big move here truthfully was going away from Khalil Ware in the starting lineup. And to your point about them playing up, and understanding that if they play him on that short roll, they can't get the lob up, and that's taken away Ware's vertical spacing that we always have talked about, and that angle of the offense and that dynamic, it's not there. So I understand why Spo's trying other things. This was a team in Boston that, if you look at the guys like Cornette, Horford, they didn't really, I mean, Horford was a good connector tonight, but he wasn't like he didn't dominate the team. For Bam, though, you're right. They're in a weird spot where the two big lineup wasn't really working. They tried something different tonight. It didn't appear as if it clicked either. And when I say it, I mean, I guess that's Adebayo, Hawkes, and Wiggins up front and how they navigate that. They got to get Bam back more involved. We'll see how they do that. I mean, this is a situation where they need him to be one of the leaders of this team in volume now. It's not just about the little things. So let's get to the X-ray of the play of the day. We're going to just freestyle this one as well, as this was a game that the Heat was in and they made some great plays, but ultimately came up short.
And now it's time for the X-ray of the play of the day, brought to us by our friends over at Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services. Nelson and his team will bring the X-ray equipment and the staffing to you. If you work in a hospital or a medical office, get a consultation today at c-armandstaffing.com or give them a call at 561-891-9620. Their fleet of trucks at your service. Again, it's Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services, 561-891-9620. And now, the X-ray of the play of the day.
This one's tough. I'm going to lean into not a specific play, but basically the entire game where the Heat just could not handle Drew Holiday. This could be defending the house as well, but let's pivot to that. He was 10 of 15. He started out 4 of 5 from 3, ended 5 of 8 from 3. Big time. This was his highest scoring game of the season. Why? I guess my first question would be, and Adele, I'm asking you these questions as if you should have all the answers. I wonder why Spo would go away from Davion Mitchell on the night that Drew Holiday was in the other backcourt and go back to Tyler and Duncan. That's weird to me a little bit. I guess he's just trying whatever he can. And then to see Drew start to get rolling and not be able to get him under control, it's difficult. You didn't have Jaylen Brown out there. They have guys that are going to make up for that. They're a deep team. Peyton Pritchard didn't kill you, and there's games where sometimes he can be that guy off the bench. I thought Davion Mitchell neutralized him to a great degree, but Drew Holiday, they could not get a handle on. What was your read on why?
So my read on why is a simple math game. Boston plays the math game. They, by far, shoot more three-pointers than anybody in the league. Right now, they lead the league with 1,177 threes made. Cleveland's close behind with 1,045. So over 100 more threes made than anybody else in the entire league. That's why. Davion isn't as good of shooter as Duncan, so he rolled with his offensive lineup. We talked about this before, too. There's no two-way lineup with this team. There's no balanced offense with defense lineup. It's either you have an offensive lineup out there or you got a defensive lineup out there. And Spo was like, we got to score points to be able to keep up with these guys.
To that point, I'm glad you went to the three-point shooting and how crazy the numbers are for Boston and how much they rely upon that. Tonight, they were 19 of 50 from 3. That's 38%. Miami was also 38%, but it was 13 of 34. Like, that's the difference in the game, basically, to some degree. I mean, free throws were relatively even. Rebounding was 3 the Celtics way, but, that's pretty even. The 17 turnovers for Miami was unacceptable. But to your point, they played a numbers game and just getting up more threes, and that formula was working. It led to some shots from Tyler and Andrew Wiggins that I think they were just trying to keep up, and try to accelerate the offense, get some threes, and both of them ended 3 of 8 from downtown. And so, they tried to keep up, but this is a tough team to keep up with. They are the champions for a reason. I hate to say that because y'all know I don't want to give credit to the Boston Celtics, but they look like they're primed to make another run. This was a game that, they, to me, showed that the Heat are a couple, they're not just one move away from the Boston Celtics. This is going to be a multi-step process. Let's get to our last segment. We're doing a short show on this Friday night because we have a sense that most Heat fans probably have other fun stuff to do. There's a lot of good college basketball on. We are not going to be tone deaf to the fact that there's lots of action other than this Miami Heat loss. Another one as the Heat dropped to a season low, games below 500. We'll go over the standings before we close as well. But here comes defending the house.
And now it's time for our Defending the House segment, sponsored by our friends over at The Real Estate Shop. You can find them at realestateshopfl.com. That's with 2 P's and an E, realestateshopfl.com, or at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram. This is Javier Iglesias and Amanda Martin. They help buyers and sellers in real estate. They're nimble and protective of their clients. They service the entire Tri-County area. That's Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties with a proven on-market strategy. The Real Estate Shop sellers earn the most money in the shortest time frame because Amanda and Javier have a deep understanding of the local market. So check them out. Again, it's at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram, realestateshopfl.com, or give them a call at 954-268-9812. And now, who defended the house?
So yeah, we're going to use this segment to talk about it. The last thing before we close. The Heat have now been outscored in 34 fourth quarters this year, Adele. That's a lot, just for anybody's reference. I didn't do the comparisons to prior years. I'll come back with that stat on another episode or on Off the Floor. Shameless plug. But Adele, why are they getting outscored every fourth quarter? Because to me, tell me this. Is it as simple as teams tighten up, they go to their best players, and rotation shrink in the fourth quarter in terms of like you're playing your best guys, it's very concentrated, and the Heat just don't stack up? Or is there more plausible basketball reasons that are out there in terms of schematics or things that the Heat are not executing late? What's your take on this fourth quarter thing? Not the blown leads, but just the fact that now they've been outscored in 34 fourth quarters this season.
Well, generally in the NBA, I always say it's as simple as it's a make or miss league. And it really is. And what I mean by that is that when you don't have a franchise leading player, you're going to struggle to close quarters, you're going to struggle to stop runs, and you're going to struggle to close games. That's what a franchise leading player does for you. And as big of a leap as Tyler Hero has taken, he's only broken through his ceiling to become an all-star. It's not like he's an all-NBA player. There's a big difference there. And because the Miami Heat don't have that type of player, defenses take away your best option. Then you got to move to your second best option. And let's face it, when Bam Adebayo isn't getting the ball in the mid-post, he's not that great of a second option scoring-wise, right?
For sure.
So outside of that, they don't have anything else. Tyler's their only real offensive punch. Like Wiggs is nice. Like he's a nice player. He's a nice piece, but he's not your franchise leading player. And to me, that's the cause of all these struggles.
Yeah, this is, I guess, it was very much, we thought that the Heat were going to make a playoff run. We thought that they could maybe, with the stability or newfound stability of having some of the distractions behind them, that they would find their way. They were getting extra talent if you took the fact that Jimmy Butler wasn't playing when they plugged in Andrew Wiggins. We talked about this recently, and it's just not resulted in the Heat finding their way. This is another game where, there's moments where they played the Celtics tough, but you just see that there is a disparity in talent that the Heat are not going to overcome when they play the top teams in the conference. This is just another example of that. The Heat have another shot coming up here against the Memphis Grizzlies. I think that is tomorrow. We may have our the homie Eternal Bass maybe covering that there in Memphis. I know there's a ton of bad weather rolling through there, so stay safe to everybody through that area. But yeah, the Heat go up to Memphis. We'll see how they do there. They got to snap this losing streak eventually because they are falling further and further out of the playoff picture. And as much as I guess everybody probably is starting to lean lottery, Adele, the team still, I think probably they don't feel great about the idea of having 2 unprotected picks convey. If they keep this pick this year, it may be the reality that they have to accept, and then they will make the best of it. But to this point, it just doesn't look like the Heat are going to make a playoff push. They're going to be in the play-in. They look like an easy out at this point. They've got time to turn it around. We'll see if it happens in Memphis. Adele, thank you for joining us. Thank you to our sponsors. We will have you covered for Miami and Memphis, and for the rest of these Miami Heat games. Somehow we're going to get through it together. Peace out.